Welcome everyone to the Rotary Club of London on this beautiful Monday, June 14th. What a gorgeous day it is today. Thank you all for joining us, and really great to see all your smiling faces. I just want to give, although it's announced now when you come on that our meetings are being recorded, I just want to let everyone know they're being recorded right from now up to and including our Rotary announcements. So just so you know. And thank you, Dawn, for co-hosting this meeting for us today. So I'd like to extend a very warm welcome today to our guest speakers, David Knoppert and Dr. Doug Thompson, who will be introduced more formally in a couple of moments. But to all of our guests here today, I haven't had a chance to look through the panel yet. We welcome you, and we really hope you enjoy our meeting today. June is Rotary Fellowship Month, and I just wanted to make a comment that this past weekend we had some great fellowship at the Bottle Drive. I know there was 2 locations, and the location that I was at Steve Knox's house, although I was the driver, I wasn't there for a long time, but I know when I was there, it was a lot of fun, and it looked like the Rotary members there were having a great time. The weather cooperated, and I'm sure the same happened at David Elliott's spot too. So nice that we can get together in person and do some good service for the city. Also, you know, we have been getting together at the food bank. There was a group that got together June 2nd and another group going out next week. And with our President's Cocktail Hour every Tuesday and Howard's Coffee Clutch every Thursday, at least we're, I think we're doing well in the fellowship area as best we can during these times. So we can only look forward to some more great fellowship coming up in the future. So as is Rotary tradition at the beginning of our meetings, I'd ask you all to raise your glass for a toast to the Queen of Canada. To the Queen of Canada.
Queen of Canada.
And a second toast to Rotary International. To Rotary International.
International.
And I have started a new toast, and that is to all of you, the members of the Rotary Club of London. Here's to you for all you do for London. And for Rotary. All right. So I am very pleased now to call upon Malcolm Cox, who will introduce our guest speakers today. Malcolm?
Thank you, President Diane. We have 2 speakers today to talk about a joint initiative between the Rotary Club of Stratford's Charitable Foundation Commit and the Rotary Club of London Hyde Park. To raise money for the Stove Project, David Knoppert and 4 Stratford area residents decided to embark on a month-long bike or walking trip, bike or walking trips without ever leaving Southwestern Ontario. Dr. Doug Thompson is a Rotarian for 43 years, a recipient of 2 Paul Harris Fellowships, a family doctor in Stratford, Ontario for 42 years, and semi-retired now and managing a nursing home and co-founder of Commit 9 years ago. David Knoppert, our second speaker, and they'll be talking together in this call, is a retired neonatal pharmacist from London, Ontario. In 2014, David joined the Rotary Club of Hyde Park, where he's been the club president and currently serves as the club secretary. In January 2017, David took his first trip with the Commit group to Nicaragua. So today, if you want to know how to buy an electric car for $300, stay with us while they tell us. Gentlemen, it's yours.
Thank you, everybody. This is Doug Thompson from the Rotary Club of Stratford, and greetings from our club to yours. I'm going to precede David's talk as sort of John the Baptist. And yes, our topic is an electric car for $300 to kind of whet your appetite for what we have to say. And what we have to say is probably one of the best kept secrets, which we wish wasn't, about climate change and solutions. But it's also a challenge to the Rotary Club and to your Rotary Club in particular, as you will see in a minute. So I think we all agree that there are 3 major problems facing Rotary and the world in our time. One is COVID, which is in our face at the moment, but you know, we're seeing a light at the end of the tunnel. We've spent billions of dollars on it, and it's cost probably millions of lives at this point in time. And we're not going to be sure we're ever going to be quite out from under it, but we certainly have a solution. The second problem is climate change. And that's as if COVID is in our face, climate change, unfortunately, is sort of rotting our bodies. And we have solutions for that as well. But the dilemma is that we are having a harder time implementing them. I think, in fact, we get a C rating for that because, and a C for the reasons why we have to balance giving up our comfort levels and zones and our excessive consumerism and perhaps our complacency, but perhaps we're living in the moment and trying to deal with one crisis at a time. And the third problem, of course, is peace and conflict, which we see happening every day over the world and even in our country. And unfortunately, the three are related. And if we don't deal effectively with climate change, probably within the next decade, peace and conflict is going to be much worse as we see people migrating from impoverished and flood-ridden zones and no plan in place to deal with that. So that's also the problem facing Rotary. And why is this also Rotary's moment in the sun? Because we are international rather than national at a time when nationalism is seen as a somewhat negative thing and connotation, vaccine nationalism, me first. We also all know that this is an international problem. It has to have an international solution, and we are an international club. And, there's a challenge of being impactful in a situation like this. As I mentioned, the 3 C's challenging us, but we have, as a club and as an association all over the world, we have been impactful and collaborative. We only have to look at Polio Plus and how we were able to do something that no other country or no other organization was able to do and almost conquered that disease. We are able to be informing and engaging for our clubs. And I think we also embrace the fact that in developing countries, that until we deal with poverty, inequality, and social injustice, that we're not going to be able to defeat COVID or have peace in our time or conquer global warming. And the tipping point really now is irrelevant because it's a matter of how much we can salvage out of this operation so that our next generations can enjoy the same world that we do. We know it's going to be a very different world and it's going to be a compromise, but this, as I mentioned, the solutions are there, and that's the positive part. We just have to be able to implement them and implement them soon. So we are a member of SREG, which is the international body that is looking at the environment, the 7th focus adopted this year. It stands for Environmental Sustainability Rotarian Action Group. They have brought together many experts in many areas of the world and are working under many committees to find solutions and interactive sessions that are being impactful. I would encourage you to join this organization either individually or as a club and participate in the solutions, because they are going to be one of the major ways we get out from under this problem. I am a member of Commit and a co-founder of Commit. This is a charitable mission group that we founded about 10 years ago. We work exclusively in Nicaragua, and we formed to be an international group that's more effective. I know Rotary has an international presence in most clubs, but we found that unless you can invest in an area and its problems, that you can't be as effective as you might be. Our mission statement: compassionate commitment to bettering the lives of people in less advantaged countries through effective and collaborative use of medical, social, and educational programs, somewhat like Rotary's mantra. We work in Nicaragua. You've heard about Nicaragua on the news recently, one of the most difficult countries in Central America, certainly to work in. Very repressive. They've put all their opposition members in jail now, so there's only one person running. And unfortunately, that's likely to be the case. We don't get a lot of help from the national government. In fact, we get a lot of hindrance, but we do get help from the local people and and the governments locally. So we are able to work there effectively. And we do have two part-time people working in the area for us on our projects. And our projects include all of these areas of work. We run medical clinics once a year. We do a second mission group dealing with projects and building. We've just done a clean water and sanitation global grant to our area, and we're able to drill and upgrade several wells to provide clean water. We furnish schools with various supplies. We've done a very effective garden project, which relates to the present talk. We run containers and humanitarian supplies down yearly. Unfortunately, with the government, our last container has been stuck in customs for the past year and now been declared abandoned because we wouldn't pay a exorbitant $25,000 US rate to get it out, even though these are donated supplies. So we're fighting that battle at the moment. We provide disaster relief, COVID relief, and David's going to talk about our school project. These are some pictures of the things that we do in Nicaragua. This is a tanker truck delivering water to one of the villages we supply. That water is collected in pails and has to do the villages until the next truck arrives in anywhere from 3 to 7 days. Imagine being rationed that amount of water in a village. You know, it hinders you in all sorts of things you can't do. School books for the kids, along with other supplies. We've started a garden project about 3 years ago in the area we work. Initially, or before that time, they practiced mainly subsistence farming, which would be rice and beans and corn. And we were able, with composting, to teach them to grow a variety of crops to restore the soil. And this is also part of climate change, where by restoring the soil, we're sequestering carbon back into the soil. And we're at the same time effectively increasing their diet and their microeconomy in the area, which is so important in these villages we work in. You can't begin to talk about climate change projects until they have they're not worried where their next meal is coming from. This is the garden projects that are going on there now. These are passion fruit. They're growing over 10 feet tall. And this was not seen in this area 3 years ago. So this is a remarkable transformation in the space of 1 or 2 years. They grow a variety of other fruits as well. The containers we send down yearly with medical supplies donated from nursing homes and hospitals. That's one of the beds we sent down. It's an obstetrical bed, replacing a rickety old bed. We haven't got a picture to show you, but you know, these newer equipment that we're sending down is just like gold for them because they've never seen anything like it. Our COVID relief project, teaching kids here to hand wash and providing masks, buckets, and soap as well. And the sewing program sews masks for the local communities as well. Disaster relief with climate change, which we're seeing every day, everywhere. Most recently, a drought in the States and in our prairie provinces. Down in the equatorial countries, of course, it's worse. So they had 2 hurricanes last year and extensive flooding. When you have a shack, a metal shack with a dirt floor, and you have 3 feet of water from flooding, you can imagine that, you know, these people lose everything. So we've been able to provide rice and beans and oil and toiletries to tie them over, and building supplies. So as I say, I'm setting the stage for what David is going to talk about, but we've been encouraging clubs as we go from club to club across Canada to continue to have a local and international environmental program, to continue informing and engaging your club about environmental problems and solutions, to join SREG if you can and be part of the solution rather than part of the bystander status. Have an environmental focus on all the projects you do and make them impactful, and be the messenger and advocate for environmental awareness, not just within your club, but within your community, and be advocates provincially and nationally with our governments. Governments give us what we want, not what we need. So we need to be sure that we elect the right people to do the right job. Thank you, and I'll turn it over to David now to talk about something that we feel is very impactful and will make a difference.
Thanks, Doug. Good morning, everybody. This almost feels like a homecoming. I'm just, as I look through here, there's so many people that I know or have interacted with at your club. I think this may be the third time that I'm presenting, and what I'm going to be talking about today is something that the last time I spoke to you live was about this. So, and I just wanted to acknowledge one of your members this morning, Jim Swan. Jim has been very helpful to Doug and myself. We've produced some videos, and well, we had them rudimentary produced, and Jim edited them and put music to them and put them in a format that they could go up on the district, the zone website for the meeting a couple of weeks ago, as well as for the RICON meeting this weekend. So Jimmy, thank you very much for that. So I'm going to start off with a video. It's going to be 2 minutes, and I'm going to stop it abruptly at the 2-minute mark.
They make this world black. My hands were like grease. You couldn't wash it away. The pots were black. The air was black. It was impossible for breathing.
We have seen forest reserves in 3 years completely gone, not a single tree standing there.
Three billion people use biomass, so wood, dung, charcoal, agricultural waste, and they cook those on very rudimentary open fires. That smoke kills roughly 2 million people each year, mostly women and children. So that's double the number of people that die from malaria each year.
The most dangerous activity a woman in the developing world can undertake is cooking for her family. And most of them have a baby on the front or a baby on the back. So that baby is inhaling so much smoke, it's equivalent to 3 packs of cigarettes a day.
Cooking on an open fire contributes more black carbon to the atmosphere than all of the cars and the trucks in the world combined.
To make a ton of charcoal, it takes about 10 tons of trees. The forests are just vanishing.
The production and distribution of ultra-clean cook stoves that nearly completely eliminate smoke and reduce fuel consumption.
So this is a picture from one of the villages in Andarola where we actually have set up a pilot project about 3 years ago. But this is the traditional way that they cook there. And this is an enclosed area. Sometimes it's an enclosed area attached to the home. Often it is right within the home itself. And you can see that this is basically an open fire setup. The ash from the fire is evident there, as well as the wood on the top. And if you look carefully at the back, we don't even have to look carefully, you can see how black it is. And that was shiny metal, something like Doug showed you in one of the last pictures. And that is the accumulation of carbon particles on that sheet metal. And of course, it's the mother, because the mothers are the ones who do the cooking. And in this case, it's a young child. And that's also often the case that there'll be young children around with the mother and even babies. So they are exposed to that smoke and to that dangerous top of the stove where it's very possible to become injured. So what we propose to do is to have different type of stove. It's called eco-friendly stove, named Husta stove or Husta design, named after the person who co-invented this about 25 years ago. And if you look at the schematic on the left and the bottom, you can see that the airflow is underneath the fuel, and this actually is sort of an engineering feat, and it makes this type of setup very efficient. So efficient, in fact, that they use about 50% or more or less materials like wood or whatever else is going to be used. In Nicaragua, it is wood. And you can see on the right where the wood is put in, and the top of the stove, you can see the orange, that's the heat box there, firebox, well insulated, and makes it very efficient for that grill that's on the top to be well heated, and the heat will go directly up. It won't go out to the sides, so it's very efficient. And you can see there is a stovepipe as well. So this is what it can look like in somebody's home. And the important thing about this is that it's safe. The front of this stove here, the brick is actually cool to the touch. It's so well insulated, and the smoke does not go into the home. It goes out into the atmosphere. So it's important to get an idea of the impact of this on the environment. And what he said in the film is in fact true, that all of these open fire stoves produce more air pollution, more carbon particles in the air than all of the world's cars and trucks combined. There's roughly 3 billion people in the world who rely on this method of cooking. And if you say the average household is 4 people, that is a guesstimate of 750 million of these open fire stoves around the world. So it is in fact impactful on our environment. So the new type of stove that we propose to build has many benefits. One is the safety for the family, for the woman and the children especially, who are exposed to this smoke right now. So this, because of the smoke is going to the outside, it will minimize any morbidity from the smoke and mortality long-term. We know that there are carcinogens in that smoke, as well as the possibility of dangerous burns from that type of setup. And we also know from the measurements that these new types of stoves are more efficient, 40 to 50% or more efficient than an open fire type of stove. So the open fire type of stove produces gases. So one stove will produce roughly the same amount of greenhouse gases as one automobile. The new Husta stove, which is eco-friendly, decreases the greenhouse gases by 50%. So you can minimize your impact, your carbon footprint by buying an electric car. You can pay as much as $70,000. This is the one I would choose, but it's quite expensive. Or by purchasing 2 stoves for $300. Each stove will basically decrease the greenhouse gases 50% of one automobile. So 2 stoves will eliminate the footprint of one of our gas-fueled vehicles. So that's where our title comes from. So 2 stoves or an electric car for $300. When I spoke with you, probably pushing 2 years ago, I remember that that we talked about the stove project, and there was some interest. And I remember you saying that reforestation needs to be a part of this, and I sort of got it a little bit at that time, but certainly that has evolved. And we know that forests are so important because they absorb the carbon from the atmosphere, and that's helping reduce the greenhouse gases. So reforestation is going to be part of this project. Doug showed you the nurseries that we have set up in a couple of the villages. And here you can see the trees will start out as seed, and the seeds have been growing in these bags of plastic with soil, and they will eventually produce saplings. So the people who are going to be getting the stoves, each family will be expected to plant and water and care for these saplings, up to 10 or 12 of these each. And I must mention also that the materials for the stoves will be sourced locally from local places in Nicaragua, and all of the building will be done by local people as well. So we're partnering with an organization out of Portland, Oregon called Stove Team International, which was actually founded by a Rotarian about 12 years ago when this lady went to, I think it might have been Guatemala, and she saw the open fire stoves in the homes and the exposure of the parents, especially the mother and the children, to the smoke. So Stove Team International are experts at building these types of stoves and training. So we are going to be sending 4 or 5 people, local people from the villages who will be the leaders, and they're going to go to actually Guatemala, where Stove Team International has set up a training program, and it will be 3 or 4 weeks, we think, maybe a bit less, but they're going to come back so that they're experts, and it's really important that they get this rocket elbow technology right. So they will be trained, and when they come back, they will be leading the local villagers and showing them how to build these stoves. So the people who are building the stoves locally will be paid, so it contributes a bit to their economy. So initially this was dealing with a ride across Canada. Wanted to bring to everyone's attention the fact of these stoves and their impact on individuals as well as their impact on the environment. And because of COVID, we thought, well, this might be a good idea of going across the country virtually. So that's what I did, and it allowed us to knock on the doors of clubs across the country. So we have spoken, I think you're the 56th or 57th club in Canada that we've spoken to. We've also spoken to 1 club in the United States and 1 club in Panama. But every province except New Brunswick, we've actually, and actually Quebec, but we sent out invitations. But we've spoken to all the other provinces across the country, and the ride was finished in April in St. John's. And as Malcolm said, there were 4 or 5 other people who did similar types of things. Doug did, he rode a bike, stationary bike, and 3 or 4 others did similar things. And we were very successful. The reception across the country has been great. It started off slow. One of the things that inspired me at the beginning was Terry Fox, and I'm reading the book. I know he started at the other end of the country. Things were pretty slow until he hit Ontario, and then they really picked up. And I have to say that was the same with us, and it just incredibly picked up. And we go back and forth. So right now we'll speak one day in Charlottetown, and the next morning we'll speak in Victoria. That's the beauty of Zoom. So anyway, the reception has been really, really good. They've been supportive financially, but also they're very interested about the project. And probably as many of you this morning aren't aware of the problem that these stoves create for the environment, and most of the people across the country weren't aware as well, but now they are aware of it. So our initial goal was to be able to purchase 250 of these stoves and plant 3,000 trees. And our goal was to raise $50,000 Canadian. And with the 4 or 5 of us, we've surpassed that goal, so that we'll be able to actually go a bit higher than that. But we wanted to triple that, and we may be able to triple it more than 750 stoves. But starting from our basic goal, that's what we wanted to do, is to triple it, and that is through a global grant that we'll be putting together. And Rotary has made the environment number 7 focus. And now we're eligible with this type of project, with this type of stove project to better the environment, that we're eligible for application to a global grant. And it really is everything. Doug and I have really gotten involved with the climate and getting that message across, because it is so important. And I saw on Thursday, there was a symposium, SRAG, that Doug mentioned. I'm going to show you a picture. If you don't get climate change after this, you'll never get it. We're so used to seeing polar bears like the guy in the top. We're not used to seeing polar bears like the guy in the bottom. So the environment is so important, and SREG, Environmental Sustainability Rotary Action Group. Folks, this has got to be big as or bigger than Polio Plus, because if we don't get this right, then polio was nothing, COVID is nothing, the future is nothing, but we have to be positive. And there are so many excellent people in SREG, and please have a look at it. Please go to the RI convention, visit their site after the convention. I don't know if you have an environmental committee, but please set one up. This project initially was about the stoves and the environment, but it's more than that. It's involving social justice, which is important, not only in our country but around the world. We're addressing here the safety for the women and children, and creating a bit of a microeconomy in this very poor country, which is poor economically and poor from political leadership. The microeconomy will benefit from the stoves, from the people working, from the nursery, who we will be paying and are paying these people to care for that nursery and expand it. And there's offshoot businesses from the garden project, such as selling fruit and vegetables, and the women have taken some of the profits for a communal oven for the bakery. We hope, we're investigating, and Stove Team International is investigating getting carbon credits for the amount of greenhouse gases that are being reduced, and hopefully that this will be able to sustain this project going forward, and hopefully that other clubs will come forward and even start something similar in Nicaragua or Guatemala or somewhere in Africa or somewhere in Asia. So those are the things that you can do. What else can you do? Share the awareness. Tell your friends about this, because they likely don't realize it. We didn't realize it until we got involved. Share with your family, share with your church. Climate change is right on the top. It's so important. And the second one we don't need to say more about that. That is so critical, not only in developing countries, but in our own country. So this is one of the villages that we serve. This is about, maybe 20 or 25 kilometers away from where we stay. And you would think that, well, you can get there in 20 minutes to zip along the highway. Well, that's not the way it is. And to get to this place, you go up and down hills. They're like mini polar mountains, I guess. And the roads in them are incredible. You cannot take a bus there. We had to take a big trolley truck to get there. So it is well isolated. They do not have, well, until last month, did not have a source of clean water. They do not have electricity. But now they have a source of clean water. The well was drilled, and you can see this young kid here. He's got his thumbs up with the water. So that's what it's all about, the future, this whole project, everything that we're doing, everything about SREG.
Can you tell me whether you get any support from the local governments? I know when I was in Guatemala, the Rotary Club there said, we've got so many people wanting to do projects that we can't possibly keep up with it.
Okay, I'll go with Doug if you want to add on, because Doug is much more experienced than I do. But yes, we do have support from the local government. So the big village, sort of central village, about 10,000 people, is called Ndaimi. And that had and that's more like a town than a village. So all the villages that we serve are probably within half an hour that except for or an hour except for Lafleur, but they're under the auspices of the local government in Ndaimi. And so we have constant discussions, constant meetings when we go down there with the mayor down there, and making sure that that they're on board with what we're doing. So they're very supportive. We're working with the Rotary Club of Grenada, who are very supportive. So on a local level, that local government is very supportive. We also work with the hospital. So they help identify the villages so that there's not going to be, 3 or 4 NGOs going to the villages that we go to. They've identified villages that need help. So it's been very supportive from that level. Like Doug said, earlier, the federal government down there is basically a dictatorship, and they've hampered any of our efforts, but the local people and the local governments have been very helpful.
Any more questions? Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, David, I had a question just following on your comment about the national government there. You said the last container didn't make it. So are you confident that this project will make it to the local community?
Well, so Howard, the container went to Managua, where it sits in customs, and it's been sitting in customs, like Doug said, well over a year. However, we just received, like Doug said, in December, the global grant. So we worked with the Club of Granada, and they were able to go forward with the project down there, dealing with the local governments. And I'm not sure what they had to do with anything with regard to the federal government. I'm not sure. Maybe Doug has more information or can elaborate on that. But we've been able to go forward with the global grant, and we've drilled wells down there in listed companies and gone forward with that. So yeah, it's they haven't said, okay, you can't do anything with your global grant. We've been able to go forward with it, and hopefully that we'll be able to go forward with the SOE project. There's a so-called election in November, and we'll see what happens. But we have to go forward and keep pursuing as best we can, and hopefully that we will be able to work with the people down there, work with the local governments to get the support and continue on.
Thanks, David.
Just to add to that as well, yeah, the federal governments don't want to be seen as supporting humanitarian projects, because that means they're not doing their job, and none of the NGOs have had much cooperation down there, unfortunately. But the church has been somewhat against them as well because of their autocracy down there and dictatorship. And unfortunately, we're with the church group as well, so that helps support our infrastructure. So for all of those reasons, they're certainly trying to extort us from the point of view of the container.
Okay, we probably have time for one more question if there is one.
David, where are the stoves manufactured? Down there or somewhere else?
Jim, the stoves are put together down there, so we'll source the brick and the cement, the hard, the steel materials, the stovepipe. Everything will be sourced locally. They do have various factories down there that have the materials, so yeah, it'll be all local.
Oh, that's great.
And I'm sure we can get in touch with you both if we have more questions or want to find a way to get more involved.
Absolutely. Can I just say one thing too, Diane? This isn't related to what we're talking about today, but I did send out something at our church. We've been doing various continuing education on different things, and it's all been around Christianity, just questioning a lot of things. But in the fall, and we decided this on the Sunday night of that event, about 8:30 actually, that before this happened, that we're using the great courses, if anybody knows that, and we're going to be looking at the Quran, 24 lectures, and we're going to be looking at Islam in the fall, and trying to understand that, and we're going to try and invite an imam to come. These are all, we've done this via Zoom, and I sent it out to our group, but I sent it out to our club, our Rotary Club, and John Eberhard picked it up and sent it to Diane. And if anybody's interested, doesn't matter if you go to church, whatever. This is just so that we can learn more about the Islam and about the Muslim community. So it's an open welcome to anybody. If you're interested, just please contact me.
That's wonderful. Thank you, David. And I just want to say to you and Doug that I commend you for your efforts in promoting this very important project. Obviously, you've been working very hard doing it and spending a lot of time. And so I would like to ask one of our World Community Service members, Ramon Marti, to thank you both today for coming to our club. Ramon?
Thank you, Diane. Thank you, Doug. Thank you, David. It was a great presentation. Your message is really good. And it's amazing the commitment that over the years you have had for all these activities locally and internationally in Nicaragua. It's not just the trips or the missions to the country, but all the preparation, the time over there. And then what is most important is what you're doing, the follow-up, all the activities for the fundraising and et cetera, et cetera. It's incredible. We sometimes forget that we are living now in probably the best country in the world, the best place in the world. And it's nice to see people that bring this well-being to other people that don't have it as good as we do. Thank you for all that activity and all that commitment that you have. Token to thank you for your time and your presentation. Our club has donated for the, thank you, for the Global Polio Plus campaign. And in your name, we're gonna be immunizing 50 infants against polio. And we're closer to achieving this polio-free world. Thank you, Doug. Thank you, David.
Thank you, Ramon. That's very nice of you. And we really appreciate that. Muchas gracias, mi amigo.
Thank you, Ramon. We worked together in Mexico, and you know, coming from you, that's very thoughtful thing you've said.
Thank you, Dave.
Thank you, Ramon, and thank you again for being with us today. And please feel free to stay with us for the rest of the meeting if your schedules allow.
Thank you, Diane. I do need to leave. It's a busy day today where we got the right con, so thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Well, thanks again, guys.
Adios.
Adios.
All right, so we'll move on to, that was a great presentation. We'll move on to Rotary announcements. Does anybody have a Rotary announcement today?
Heather does.
Okay, Heather, go.
Just a reminder about the golf tournament coming up. I've posted a few of our sponsors that have committed to us in the chat. So Harry Houston is doing our putting contest again. Thank you, Harry. I also have a commitment from Stephen Karen Knox for the Men's Most Honest, Stephen Karen Knox for Men's Most Honest Golf Team. So we're going to do 2 this year because we get so many women's teams as well. And mine being an all-female team, and I keep winning it. So I'd like to share that honor with another team. And also we have John Eberhard is now sponsoring the Men's Longest Drive. So we still have more of these available, obviously. Still need more golfers. Registration's ongoing at the time being. So thank you to those of you who have stepped up, and I haven't had to chase you.
Thank you, Heather. Lori, do you have something to say about the bottle drive?
Yes, thank you. So first and foremost, wanted to thank everybody who volunteered on Saturday. I was actually myself based at the depot at the velodrome, so I didn't get to see all the activity in the north end or downtown, but we had lots of volunteers and lots of people obviously donated bottles and cans. So we actually were very proud to fill a huge big tractor trailer truck from Brewers Retail with the collection, and that also included all the cardboard, all the boxes we recycled. So it was an absolutely full trailer. And so our club, with the donations that we had received previously, some cash donations on Saturday, and then the bottles actually collected, we will be getting a check back from the Brewers Retail. But the total probably is just shy of $1,850, so $1,850. So it's one of those activities that got everybody out and busy, but lots and lots and lots of hard work. I don't think I have physically worked that hard in a long, long time myself. So it was lots of hard work. And maybe perhaps going forward, we might want to think of alternative ways of raising funds, but it was great to see everybody, and certainly did bring a lot of people out. So Jerry or Stephen, I don't know if you wanted to comment from your sites at all.
Guys?
No, Dior, just thanking everyone for participating. We did have, to be honest with you, all the deliveries we had today came from our members. So thank you all very much. And it was a great event. Great teamwork, as always.
So you can see we had a lot of fun, but it was a lot of hard work. You're right, Lori. So just to wrap things up, I want to remind everyone that next week we have a very special meeting, Monday, June 21st. Our very hard-working strategic planning task force, who have been working every single Monday night since January, they will be presenting at our meeting next week. So I encourage you all to attend if you can, because this affects the future of our club. And they've been working very hard, and it would be great to have a huge audience for them. And then a reminder, there is a board meeting this Wednesday at 4:30. Everyone's welcome to join, although you just can't vote unless you're a current director, but we welcome you to that as well. I'll just say it's going to be my last board meeting as president. And so that's also a good thing. Anyway, although it's been fun. And then I just want to thank everyone for helping with the meeting today. Of course, Dawn, Malcolm for coordinating our great speakers, Jim for everything you do to help me, Heath for producing the ECOG, Malcolm and Ramon for introducing and thanking our guest speakers. And thank you to all our guests who came today, and just to all of you who come to these meetings and do such hard work for the Rotary Club of London and for our community. So thank you, everyone. And hope I'll see some of you out tomorrow for the cocktail hour at 5 and Howard's Coffee Clutch at 10:30 on Thursday. And I hope you all have a super duper week.